Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to talk to you about something that might just change your life. It's a simple idea, but one that's incredibly powerful. Are you ready? Here it is. Stop telling what's going on in your life. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jim. Isn't sharing part of human nature? Isn't it how we connect? Well, let me tell you something. There's a big difference between sharing and oversharing, between communication and constant chatter. In today's world, we've tilted far too much towards the latter. You see, we live in an age of social media, of instant messaging, of constant connectivity. So we're always on, always sharing, always telling. But here's the thing, all that telling might just be holding you back from truly living, from truly growing, from truly. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should become a hermit or never speak to anyone. That's not it at all. What I'm saying is that there's immense power in discretion, in thoughtful silence, in strategic sharing. And that's what we're going to explore today. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Your life is shaped by your focus. What you focus on expands. What you give attention to grows. And here's the kicker. Every time you tell someone about what's going on in your life, you're focusing on it. You're giving it attention. You're making it grow. So if you're constantly telling people about your problems, your challenges, your setbacks, guess what? You're making those things bigger in your life. You're giving them more power over you. You're inadvertently creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the flip side, when you stop telling everyone about every little thing that's happening in your life, you create space, space for growth, space for change, space for new possibilities. You see, words have power. They shape our reality. And when you're constantly verbalizing your current situation, you're cementing it in place. So think about it this way. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to always have drama in their lives? They're always in crisis, always facing some new problem, and they're always telling everyone about it. Well, here's a secret. It's not that more bad things happen to these people. It's that they're creating their own reality by constantly focusing on and talking about the negative. Hey, now let's flip the script. Think about the most successful people you know. The ones who are truly happy, truly fulfilled, I bet they're not the ones constantly broadcasting every detail of their lives. They're not updating their status every 5 minutes or telling everyone they meet about their latest problem. No, successful people are often more reserved. They're selective about what they share and who they share it with. They understand that not everything needs to be said, not every thought needs to be expressed, not every feeling needs to be broadcast. This doesn't mean they're secretive or dishonest. It means they're strategic. They understand the power of focus, the power of discretion. They know that sometimes the best thing you can do is to keep your own counsel, to work quietly on your goals, to let your actions speak louder than your words. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're working on a big project, something that could really change your life. You're excited about it naturally, but here's what most people do. They tell everyone, they post about it on social media. They bring it up in every conversation, and you know what happens? Two things, neither of them good. First, they get a fake sense of accomplishment just by talking about their project. They feel like they're making progress. But talk is cheap, folks. It's action that counts. Second, they open themselves up to doubt and negativity. Everyone will share their enthusiasm. Some might even try to discourage them. And if they hear enough negative feedback, they might just give up before they even really get started. Now imagine instead that you keep that project to yourself. You work on it quietly, diligently. You pour your energy into doing, not talking. And then when you've made real progress, when you have something tangible to show, that's when you share. Can you see how much more powerful that is? This principle applies to every area of your life, your relationships, your career, your personal growth. When you stop telling everyone what's going on, you create a space for magic to happen. You allow yourself to change, to grow, to evolve without the constant scrutiny and commentary of others. Think about a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. This miraculous transformation happens in the quiet of a cocoon. If the caterpillar was constantly telling everyone about the process, constantly exposing itself, the transformation might never happen. The same is true for you. Your personal growth, your evolution often happens best in quiet, in private. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Jim, isn't it good to have support? Isn't it helpful to share our struggles with others? And you're right, to a point. There's certainly a place for having a support system, for having trusted confidants. But there's a big difference between having a few close friends or mentors you confide in and telling everyone everything. The key is to be selective. Choose carefully who you share with. And even then, be mindful of what you share and how often. Remember, every time you talk about something, you're giving it energy. Make sure you're giving your energy to the right things. Let's talk about another reason why stopping the constant telling is so powerful. It helps you take full responsibility for your life. You see, when you're always telling others what's going on, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation, seeking approval, or worse, seeking sympathy. And here's the truth. Your life is your responsibility. Your successes, your failures, your challenges, your triumphs, they're all yours. And when you stop telling everyone about them, you start fully owning them. You start dealing with things yourself instead of looking for others to solve your problems or validate your choices. This is where real personal power comes from. It comes from knowing that you are the author of your life story. It comes from taking full ownership of your journey, both the highs and the lows. And it comes from having the strength and the wisdom to work through things on your own when needed. Now, I'm not saying you should never ask for help. Of course not. We all need help sometimes, but there's a difference between strategically seeking advice or assistance when you truly need it and constantly offloading your problems onto others. The former is wisdom. The latter's weakness. Let's consider another angle. When you stop telling what's going on in your life, you become more interesting. Yes, you heard that right. In a world where everyone is oversharing, where everyone is constantly updating their status and broadcasting their every thought, the person who maintains a bit of mystery is intriguing. Think about it. We're all drawn to people who seem to have depth, who seem to have more going on beneath the surface. When you're not constantly telling everything, people become curious. They want to know more. They're drawn to you, and this can be incredibly powerful in both your personal and professional life. In business, for example, this principle can give you a significant edge. When you're not always laying all your cards on the table, when you're not constantly revealing your strategies and plans, you become harder to predict, harder to compete against. You maintain an element of surprise that can be a powerful tool in negotiations and strategic planning. Same is true in personal relationships. When you're not an open book, when you maintain a certain level of privacy, you become more intriguing. People want to get to know you better. They want to earn your trust, earn the right to hear your stories, your thoughts, your feelings. And this can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections. Now let's talk about another powerful benefit of stopping the constant telling. It gives you time and space to process your own thoughts and feelings. In our hyper-connected world, we often fall into the trap of immediately sharing every thought, every emotion, every experience. Listen, but this instant sharing robs us of the opportunity to truly understand and learn from what we're going through. When you stop telling everyone everything, you give yourself the gift of reflection. You create space to sit with your thoughts, to really understand your emotions, to gain clarity on your experiences. And it's in the space of reflection that true wisdom is born. Think about some of the most profound insights you've had in your life. I bet they didn't come when you were talking or texting or posting on social media. They probably came in moments of quiet reflection, moments when you were alone with your thoughts. This is why so many successful people have daily practices of solitude and reflection. They understand that constant external input, whether it's from other people or from media, drowns out our own inner wisdom. By creating space, by not constantly telling, we allow ourselves to hear our own thoughts, to connect with our own intuition. And let me tell you, folks, that inner wisdom, that intuition, it's pure gold. It's often far more valuable than any advice you could get from others, but you can only access it when you're not constantly drowning it out with chatter. Now, let's address a common objection I hear when I talk about this. Some people say, but Jim, if I don't tell people what's going on in my life, how will they know if I need help? How will I get support? A fair question, but it's based on a flawed assumption. You see, the assumption is that by telling everyone everything, you're more likely to get help when you need it. But in reality, the opposite is often true. When you're constantly sharing every little problem, every little setback, people start to tune you out. It's like the boy who cried wolf. When everything is an emergency, nothing is an emergency. On the other hand, when you're more selective about what you share, when you only reach out for help when you truly need it, people are much more likely to take you seriously. They're much more likely to step up and offer real, meaningful support. Plus, when you're not constantly leaning on others, you develop your own problem-solving skills, you become more resilient, more self-reliant, and paradoxically, this makes you more attractive to others. People are drawn to those who can handle their own business, who aren't constantly looking for others to rescue them. Let's talk about another powerful reason to stop telling what's going on in your life. It helps you stay focused on your goals. You see, every time you talk about what you're going to do, you get a little hit of dopamine, a little sense of satisfaction. And this can actually reduce your motivation to actually do the thing. It's a phenomenon psychologists call social reality. When we tell others about our intentions, we get a premature sense of completeness. Our brain in a sense, crosses that goal off our list. And as a result, we're less likely to follow through. This is why so many New Year's resolutions fail. People announce to everyone that they're going to lose weight or quit smoking or start a business. They get that immediate social approval, that immediate sense of accomplishment. And then nothing happens. They've already gotten the reward. So their motivation fizzles out. But when you keep your goals to yourself, when you work on them quietly, you maintain that hunger, that drive. You're not satisfied with just talking about what you're going to do. You actually do it. And then when you've achieved something tangible, that's when you share. And let me tell you, the satisfaction of sharing a real achievement is far greater than the fleeting pleasure of talking about your intentions. Now, I want to be clear about something. When I say stop telling what's going on in your life, I'm not advocating for complete isolation or secrecy. We're social creatures, after all. We need connection. We need relationships. What I'm advocating for is mindfulness, selectivity, and purpose in your communication. Why am I sharing everything? Ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Is it truly necessary? Is it helpful? Is it kind? If you can't answer yes to at least one of these questions, maybe it's better left unsaid. The approach to communication isn't just about what you don't say. It's also about improving the quality of what you do say. When you're more selective about your sharing, the things you do choose to share become more meaningful, more impactful. Think about it this way. If you only spoke a few sentences each day, how much more carefully would you choose your words? How much more weight would they carry? That's the power of selective communication. Now, let's talk about how this principle can transform your relationships. When you stop constantly telling what's going on in your life, you create space for deeper, more meaningful connections. Instead of surface-level chatter about day-to-day happenings, your conversations can focus on ideas, on dreams, on things that truly matter. You also become a better listener. When you're not constantly waiting for your turn to speak, when you're not always thinking about what you're going to say next, you can truly hear others. You can be present with them. And let me tell you, in a world where everyone is clamoring to be heard, being a good listener is a superpower. This shift in your communication style can also help you attract higher quality relationships into your life. When you're not constantly broadcasting your problems or seeking validation, you naturally draw in people who are interested in you for who you are, not for the drama you bring or the ego boost they get from helping you. Let's consider how this principle applies in the professional world. In business, discretion is often a key to success. The most successful entrepreneurs, the most effective leaders, they're usually not the ones constantly talking about what they're doing. They're the ones quietly making moves, strategically sharing information only when it serves a purpose. Think about some of the most successful companies in the world. Apple, for instance, they're famously secretive about their projects and plans. They don't constantly update the public on what they're working on. Instead, they work quietly and then make a big splash when they have something truly impressive to show. This approach creates anticipation. It creates excitement. It also protects their competitive advantage. By not constantly telling what they're doing, they prevent competitors from copying their ideas or getting a head start. The same principle can work for you in your career. Instead of constantly updating everyone on your latest project or idea, focus on doing the work. Let your results speak for themselves. When you do have a big win, share it strategically. This approach positions you as someone who delivers rather than someone who just talks. Now, let's address another common concern. Some people worry that if they stop constantly sharing, they'll be perceived as aloof or unfriendly. But here's the thing, there's a big difference between being private and being unfriendly. You can still be warm, still be engaging, still be present with others without constantly telling them everything that's going on in your life. In fact, when you stop the constant telling, you often become a more pleasant person to be around. You're not burdening others with your problems. You're not dominating conversations with your own stories. Instead, you're creating space for genuine connection, for mutual exchange, for real relationship building. Let's talk about how this principle can impact your personal growth. When you stop constantly telling what's going on in your life, you create space for self-reflection and self-improvement. Instead of seeking external validation or solutions, you turn inward. You develop your own problem-solving skills. You become more self-reliant, more resilient. This inward focus also allows you to be more honest with yourself. When you're not constantly presenting a curated version of your life to others, you can face your own truths more directly. You can acknowledge your failures without fear of judgment. You can celebrate your successes without fear of appearing boastful. This honesty with yourself is the foundation of true personal growth. Moreover, when you're not constantly telling others about your plans and goals, you're less likely to be swayed by their opinions. You can stay true to your own path your own vision. You can pursue your dreams without the constant noise of others' expectations or doubts. Now, let's consider how this principle can impact your mental and emotional well-being. In our social media-driven world, there's immense pressure to constantly share, to always be on. But this constant sharing can be exhausting. It can create anxiety as we worry about how others perceive us. It can create a sense of inadequacy as we compare our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. For a day, when you stop the constant telling, you free yourself from this pressure. You can live your life without constantly worrying about how it will be perceived by others. You can have experiences without immediately thinking about how you'll share them. You can be present in the moment rather than always thinking about how you'll narrate it later. This shift can lead to a profound sense of peace and contentment. When you're not constantly seeking external validation through sharing, you learn to find validation within yourself. You learn to enjoy experiences for what they are, not for how they'll look on social media. Let's talk about another powerful benefit of stopping the constant telling. It allows you to maintain control over your narrative. You see, when you're constantly sharing everything that's happening in your life, you're giving others the power to interpret your experiences, to form opinions about your choices, to speculate about your future. And so when you're more selective about what you share, you maintain control over your own story. You can choose when and how to reveal things about your life. You can frame your experiences in the way that feels most authentic to you. You're not at the mercy of others' interpretations or judgments. This control over your narrative is incredibly powerful. It allows you to shape how others perceive you. It allows you to focus on the aspects of your life that align with your goals and values. It allows you to present a consistent, authentic image to the world. Now, I want to address something important. When I say stop telling what's going on in your life, I'm not advocating for dishonesty or inauthenticity. I'm not suggesting you should hide who you are or pretend to be someone you're not. What I'm advocating for is thoughtful, strategic communication. It's about being authentic while also being wise about what you share and when you share it. Remember, folks, your life is precious. Your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings, they're all valuable. And just like you wouldn't throw money around carelessly, you shouldn't throw your personal information around carelessly either. Treat it with respect. Share it judiciously. Use it to create the life you want, not to seek constant validation or attention from others. As we wrap up, I want to challenge you. For the next week, try to dramatically reduce how much you tell others about what's going on in your life. Instead of sharing, observe. Instead of talking, listen. Instead of seeking external solutions, look within. I promise you, you'll be amazed at what you discover about yourself and about the world around you. Remember, your life is not a reality show. It's not meant to be broadcast 24/7. It's a precious personal journey of growth and discovery. Honor that journey by being more mindful about what you share. Focus on living, not on telling. Let your actions speak louder than your words. And finally, remember this. The most interesting people, the most successful people, the happiest people, they're often the ones who say the least about themselves. They're too busy living, too busy doing, too busy becoming to constantly tell everyone about it. Just be one of those people. Stop telling what's going on in your life and start truly living it. Then